me have a show of hands. How many of you like to eat? Okay. When you travel, how many of you consider the meal to be part of the important part of the experience? Good. How many of you like to eat local food when you travel? Oh, I think I can wrap up. I'm preaching to the choir. Anyway, I've always loved food. I grew up with mom's fantastic cooking. We ate awesome Chinese and Chinese food at home. But mom always liked and was interested in food of other cultures, other cuisines. So I grew up learning to appreciate cuisine from all different parts of the world. And actually, because of her, I'm actually one of those Chinese people who would travel and never miss Chinese food when I travel, thanks to her. I've always found it interesting and thought it was weird when I was young that mom would always go and visit markets and supermarkets whenever she traveled. And she'd always be interested in looking at snacks that people ate and what kind of local produce were available. And I was like, well, why are you going to supermarkets when you travel? Later on, I realized that that was her unique way of trying to peek into the lives of the different local people. And later on in life, nowadays, I find myself doing exactly the same thing. I had a lot of fun going through the stalls at La Joyería in Barcelona, because there's so much to see. I bought the sweetest fruits I've ever tasted in a market in Bukhara, Uzbekistan. The fruits were incredibly sweet because, as I later learned, that the 45 to 50 Celsius degree temperature outside just pushed the sugar levels up so high. And I also looked through some interesting pastries also in Uzbekistan. So in short, I have become my mom. My first culinary epiphany when it comes to fine dining came with my third trip to Paris. Unlike the first two trips, I actually made plans in advance and booked some world-class restaurants, including La Tour d'Argent. I was absolutely blown away by my first Michelin star dining experience. From the smoothest, most ridiculously expensive foie gras pâté I've ever had, which at the time cost $100 15 years ago, to the mind-boggling encyclopedic wine list that the restaurant's famous for. So all those things just, I was completely blown away. And memories of that meal, I still remember vividly, and it's 15 years on. Fast forward about 10 years, and I've gotten into the habit of actually booking my meals way in advance, actually months before my trip. And because I actually booked the restaurants before anything else, my cultural and shopping activities were actually then planned around the location of the restaurants. So during the day, I wouldn't have to travel across town to eat. Now you know where my priorities lie. In 2005, I somehow managed to get myself a table at El Bulli for the following year on my birthday. So, yeah. When I started to talk to a few friends about it, everybody was like, "Are you kidding me? Of course we'll drop everything and go to El Bulli with you. Sign me up." Right? So I had one couple who actually planned and reshuffled their entire vacation plan for that year, just so that they can make it to Barcelona. So I planned a two and a half week trip around the Iberian Peninsula. Hit 3 out of the 4 Michelin 3-star restaurants in Spain that year. And it was absolutely the best trip I've ever taken in terms of my culinary experiences. We went from the really local, traditional Pinchos bars in San Sebastian, and of course ended up at the Temple of Molecular Gastronomy. And that dinner at El Bulli for me is still my best restaurant meal ever. And I'm wondering whether that can be topped any day. And actually, everybody who went with me has said the same thing. I have a small group of friends who like to travel and who like food and wine. So a few years ago, we started traveling to a different wine region each year. We go visit the wineries, eat at the best restaurants in the region. Last year we went to the Rhone Valley in France. But we started the trip with a detour to Roanne because we wanted to eat at Trois Gros. After the trip, I actually did another detour from Lyon to Switzerland because I wanted to have lunch at Philippe Rochel's restaurant one last time before he retired. It's one of my favorite restaurants in the whole world, and this is the amuse-bouche that we had, which is razor clams. I mean, look at the presentation. For me, it's just a beautiful work of art, and it's only an amuse-bouche. Anyway, I spent less than 24 hours in Switzerland, and then went back to France to continue my culinary tour. Now, some people heard about what I did and said, "You're crazy. You're taking a long train rides, crossing borders just to have lunch?" But let's remember, Michelin's definition of a 3-star restaurant is worth a special journey. So, is it worth a special journey? For me, it is. But it's not all about Europe or Michelin stars for me. Come on, Asia's got plenty of good food. Tokyo is one of the top culinary destinations in the world, and if you believe the Michelin guides, then yes, they're probably the top culinary destination. And there are plenty of people who love Asian food, Japanese food. People will fly in from all over the world to have Japanese food in Japan, to have the freshest seafood at Tsukiji Market. I'm one of those people. So on my last trip to Tokyo, I had a list of restaurants, and I managed to hit all of them, from Michelin 3 stars down to ramen shops, hamburger stands, whatever. And here's a sashimi course that I had at Culinary in Tokyo. And this is a very beautiful presentation of sweet fish, ayu, at the Ryugin, which is just opened a branch in Hong Kong. Oh, okay, sorry, I apologize. I'm talking about Michelin star restaurants again. Taipei is my hometown, and it's another destination where people go for food, especially from Hong Kong. It's so easy to go. Ever since they were mentioned by the New York Times 20 years ago, Din Tai Fung actually has seen tourists and locals alike flock to their outlets. And for many people, including myself, it's literally the first name that comes to mind when you talk about xiaolongbao and xiaolongbao Shanghainese. The restaurant doesn't take reservations, but people end up lining up everywhere they go. Right? This is what it looks like on a typical lunchtime at their original restaurant on Yongkang Street. And this is all the more impressive when you consider that nowadays Din Tai Fung has a chain of 71 outlets around the world, and people still line up everywhere they go. I think they really achieved this by what I think is a passionate pursuit for excellence. They took a few simple dishes, refined it, and beat the Shanghainese at their own game. Really, I mean, for me, it's pretty incredible. And at the same time, actually, if you notice, what they've done it by also giving you a level of customer service that's unheard of at other restaurants at this price point. I absolutely love their black truffle xiaolongbao, by the way. A few steps down the street, this shop, also on Yongkang Street, and its predecessor, serves up mango iced dessert. And that's another example of local flavors, I think, drawing in the tourists. I'll bet you that a large number of Hong Kong tourists actually know of this place or have been to this place when they go. Last year, when the previous shop had to close because the owner supposedly was going through a messy divorce, apparently traffic to Yongkang Street dropped significantly because this one shop was not open. So, if you think about it, if this place and Din Tai Fung both closed at the same time, what's going to happen to the area of Yongkang Street and the surrounding businesses? I mean, the economic power that these two wield and the influence that they can have is actually pretty amazing. So anyway, so we can see that there are people around the world who will fly and travel for food, right? And we know that there are a lot of lovers of Asian cuisine out there around the world. Do we have what it takes to draw them into Asia? I think if you're looking at Japan and Tokyo, I think the answer is unequivocally yes. For the rest of Asia, I'm not so sure. I mean, okay, I'm not saying that Asian food is not good. I mean, Asian food is tasty, local food is tasty, I like it. But is it really world class? Is it really, can it be a mind-boggling experience? Will it get people on a plane to come over? We have a lot of restaurants in the region, nowadays, especially with Hong Kong and Singapore, where the global renowned chefs are opening branches here. They draw in the crowd. But relatively, we have fewer homegrown talents who have risen through the ranks, created something special, and have been at the top of the game. People like myself will travel long distances to have unique dining experiences that we can't have at home. If I were living in Europe or the Americas, and I came over to Hong Kong, for example, I'd be wanting some really, really good and outstanding Chinese or Cantonese food. I'd be less inclined to go to Robuchon or Pierre Garnier. So, do we have restaurants of that caliber? I mean, for people to really travel just for food, the memories, the experiences must be really unique. Are we at that level? I was at dinner last night with some friends, and the comment was made, not by me, but that Chinese food can be a little bit, not creative or not refined. You can disagree, but there's a general feeling among some of us that with the Chinese restaurants and chefs, they tend to stick to the tried and true. Very few chefs actually go out and do something creative. I mean, they're out there, but they're among the minority. Right? So for people like us who want unique experiences, again, not to repeat myself, are people going to come? Are we good enough to get people going? If you do the tried and true, what you get is food that is good, solid, but no wow factor. Okay. And the wow factor is what get people to look for the next great meal. Meals that people like me can remember for the next 10, 15 years. One of the things I like to do is for people, I like to encourage people to go local when you travel. The stereotypical Chinese tourist will always go and look for a Chinese restaurant when they travel. The stereotypical American will stop at a McDonald's or a fast food restaurant. I don't think that label applies to any of you in this room, I hope. But, I mean, traveling really gives you the chance of digging deeper into a local cuisine. So I really like to encourage everyone to look and try out for regional specialties when they travel. Just try something new, something different, broaden your perspective, educate your palate, things like that. When you open a restaurant in a location and serve a cuisine that's not indigenous to its location, there's a tendency for the proprietors to adapt to local taste and serve up stereotypical dishes or dishes that are considered middle of the road. Right? They do this because it's a business and they need to survive. But in the long run, that's very boring for a diner. I don't want to sit in a French restaurant and have the same pan fried foie gras and a piece of steak. That's not very interesting. What gets me going is the thought of traveling to France to have their regional cuisine, such as things such as andouille, which is a sausage made from tripe, boudin noir, blood sausage, or in wintertime, lièvre à la royale, which is a wild hare served with a blood liver sauce. I mean, things like that you don't see on Asian menus very often, but you can get them when you travel, right? And you probably can only get them when you travel. So what I'd like to do is for people to go out of your comfort zone a little bit. When you travel, try something different. Go local. This is a picture of plov, which is a Central Asian dish. I mean, when I travel to Central Asia, I'm happiest when I'm eating whatever's local. Fatty lamb, things like that, plov, or the Kazakh national dish, besbarmak, which is actually made with horse meat and horse sausage. Again, I'm not trying to push you to go find the weirdest thing possible. You don't have to be Andrew Zimmern. Okay, it's not what I'm asking for. But what I'd like everyone to do is to, again, just to explore, to move out of your comfort zone a little bit at a time, all right, and really try to see what you can discover.